Set your goal from the heart instead of the mind. Today I'm going to explain what this means. So, your goal is obviously what you want to achieve. The heart in this case means the subconscious, but I'm referring it to the heart, and you will see soon why. This is also in most spiritual teachings. And the mind is obviously your conscious mind, so like the part of the mind that you control. Got it. So, your mind is really, there's two ways. The mind is really convenient because it helps us put things in abstract categories, in boxes. It uses labels. It is able to think in terms of money. This is sometimes useful, but most of the time this actually completely skews with our world view. Let me explain why. The world cannot be put into a single box. The world cannot be put into abstract categories. The world cannot be put into certain labels. Everyone is human, but there are 8 billion different humans. 8 billion. Or I think like 7 point something. And every single one of them is unique. So to call everyone a human is kind of strange. Even male and female is still another box, but there's so many different males, there's so many different females. The same with houses. If you just say, I want a house, I mean, this is a house, like a small house, for example, on the countryside, but you also have like big villas inside of I don't know, the city. That could also be a house. So the idea of this is that your mind thinks in categories, but these categories rarely represent what the world actually looks like. Then we have the heart. This is the subconscious mind. The heart feels and knows. So you might have noticed that whenever you experience something, you suddenly feel something. So you might feel like fear, or you might feel like extremely happy. And these feelings often come from the subconscious. So if you don't know why you feel a certain way, but suddenly you feel fear, or suddenly you feel really happy, that probably means that your heart responded to something. So that's what the heart does. Now I'm going to give you a quick example that shows why it's important to set your goals from the heart, not the mind. I recently had some experience with this, and it led me to learning this lesson, so I'm really happy to share this with you today. The example I'm going to use is a jacket. Let's say you want to buy a jacket. If you're going to use the mind to pick your jacket, you're probably going to give it labels and categories. You might say, I want a red jacket, I want an expensive jacket, I want a leather jacket. So once again, there's probably a lot of jackets that fit this description. I mean, leather, there's like leather shoes, there's leather jackets. Red, there's like blood is red, jackets are red, tomatoes are red, so many different things. There's also different shades of red, so different shades of color. Expensive, like what does it mean? There's like things which has like $5, things which are like $1,000, and theoretically things are not expensive or cheap. They just exist. Kind of a spiritual and philosophical way to think about it. And then if you actually take the purchase or make the purchase from the mind, what you probably are going to experience is that something feels off. Because it does fit the category, it does fit it's red, for example, it's made from leather, it's expensive, but suddenly something feels off. And you're not quite sure why, because it does fit your description, but it doesn't feel quite right. And if you're more of a logical person, you probably don't care about clothes as much. I used to in the beginning. I didn't care about clothes as much, but it basically feels off. And when you actually set your goal from the mind, all you have to focus on is just a jacket. Let me really briefly explain. When you just focus on the jacket, your heart is going to feel and know when you have come across something that is going to suit you. And when it feels right, then is kind of the point when you know it is going to be for you. And usually what happens is it actually ends up being exactly what you wanted, or even better. So for example, the jacket might not just be red, leather and expensive, but it might also be like, I don't know, it might have like specific patterns that you really like, or specific art, or specific images. And these obviously should not be put here, but I hope you get the point. So the idea with this is that when you're going to define your goal, and please don't set the goal of like 10K a month, or like financial freedom, or location freedom, or time freedom, because these are just labels. You have to know that if you're really going to work towards something, money is probably going to be your first goal, because you're not aware of how to set goals. I made this mistake as well. But once you actually learn to set a goal that's different for money, and once you learn to set a goal from your heart, everything will go so much easier. You don't even have to believe me, because the mind is it's very difficult to convince the mind to believe something. You don't just have to believe me, you can just try it out for yourself. Just set the goal, make sure it fits your heart and not the mind, and then you're probably going to experience that you're going to end up with something that's even better than what you initially thought. So once again, if you want to know if it actually is going to be a goal from the heart, it is going to feel right. Your mind might actually say yes, this is the goal, but if it doesn't feel right, it's not. And on the other hand, if the mind says no and the heart says yes, then the mind probably doesn't believe it's possible. So if you want a private island, then the mind might say no, but you might say no because you don't believe it's possible. Okay? So I hope that makes sense, and this is the main takeaway. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.